Welcome to lesson 3, which is about the distributive property. In this lesson, we are going to have the goal of being able to apply this distributive property. I want to start things off by visualizing the distributive property. So let's take a look at a collection of shapes and think about what it would mean to multiply this set of shapes. Let's consider multiplying this set of shapes by 4. Multiplying by 4 means you now have 4 of whatever shape you started with. So now, instead of having the 3 blue blocks that you saw in the first shape, we now have 12 total blue blocks. Instead of having the 2 red rectangles that we had in the first shape, we now have 8. Now let's change this visual into an expression. Since we have 3 blue blocks and 2 red blocks, we could write this as 3b plus 2r. And now, when you have 4 times 3b plus 2r, we see the original visual that I provided of 12 blue blocks and 8 red blocks, and we can actually visualize what 4 times 3b plus 2r looks like. We can also agree that we see 12 total blue blocks and 8 total red blocks. So we could also write this as 12b plus 8r. A shortcut we can use to understand this is called the distributive property. This says that if we have one term outside of a set or a parenthesis of multiple terms, that we can take that term on the outside and multiply it into each of the terms on the inside and then add the products together. Looking back at the visual from earlier, we can see this distributive property working. If you look at the left half of the equation and you take the 4 at the beginning and multiply it by the 3b, you would get the 12b that you see on the right half of the equation. If you took that 4 and multiplied it by the 2r, you would get that 8r that you see on the right half of the equation, and altogether you get that result of 12b plus 8r. So let's take a look at a few examples here. Let's start off with 8 times x plus 3. The distributive property would say we take this 8 times the x to get an 8x. And we'll take this 8 times this 3 to get a 24, and we will add those together to get 8x plus 24. And that's it. That's all you got to do. Move on to example 2. Now, in this example, we just see a negative symbol in front of a set of parentheses. Really what we have here is a -1. And we're going to take that -1 and we are going to distribute it. So we're going to bring it to the y. -1 times y makes a -1y. -1 brought to this -4 creates a -1 times a -4, which is a positive 4. Now we don't really need to write -1, so we're just going to write -y plus 4. And that will be our final answer. On to example 3. In this one, it's a little bit weird. We have this -8 over here on the right-hand side of the problem. But we can do the exact same thing. If you want, you could even rewrite it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this -8 to the first term and get -8 times 3, which is -24x. And then I'm going to take that -8 and bring it to the -2y to make a positive 16y. When I say I'm bringing it in, all I'm doing is I'm multiplying what's on the outside of the parentheses to what's on the inside of the parentheses. And finally, we have a problem that's going to have a little bit more work to it, where distributing is just part of this problem. If you remember PEMDAS, we start with parentheses, but I can't simplify inside these parentheses, so I can't do that step. Then exponents, but we don't have those. Then comes multiplication and division. Now, bringing this 2 in via distribution is multiplying. So that's actually the first step we should do in this problem. I'm going to take this -2 and bring it to the 3x. I'm going to take this -2, I'm going to bring it to the -12. But I need to rewrite this 6. So I'm going to rewrite the 6. And now, when I bring that -2 to the 3x, which I did right here, that's going to be a -6x. And when I bring that -2 over to that -12 over here, I'm going to get a positive 24. So we have 6 minus 6x plus 24. And if we simplify, the 6 and 24 are like terms. So I still have that negative 6x, but now additionally I have 6 plus 24 equals 30. So we have negative 6x plus 30 as our final answer. A summary for this lesson would be when you have one term outside of a set of parentheses, you multiply that one term into everything on the inside of the parentheses. If both the inside and outside terms are negative, just make sure you realize that the resulting product should be positive. That confuses a lot of people. If you came away with any other important observations, make sure you write those down now too. Otherwise, this lesson's over.